Yes, but not heard. Now, those voices have a place at the table. Now, before we wrap up, there's time for one more story, and you may have seen or heard about the High Seas Treaty in the news. The high seas, of course, being areas of the ocean that lie outside any single nation's jurisdiction. Well, this treaty was almost 2 decades in the making, and someone who was at the UN as part of the negotiations was Gladys Martinez from AIDA, an environment and legal organisation based in Costa Rica. Gladys, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Really happy with this achievement after 20 years, as you mentioned.
So, for those who don't know about the treaty, what is the most important thing that we need to know? What's it all about?
First, I would have to say that the high seas are half of the planet. So we are very happy that with the new treaty, it will be protected. Currently, only 1% of it is protected. However, there are many activities going on like fisheries, transportation, and as you might have heard, the potential threat of seabed mining. These activities are developed currently without a legal framework. It's like a puzzle, many pieces but are not currently coordinated. So with the treaty, these gaps of governance will be filled, and we will have for the first time in history the possibility to establish marine protected areas in the high seas. And science has told us for many years that marine protected areas had a very positive impact in the marine ecosystem in general, but it also has a positive impact in climate change.
So why is that, Gladys? Why is it important to protect the high seas in terms of climate change?
Well, as you know, the ocean produces around half of the world's oxygen, and it helps mitigate the impacts of climate change. It absorbs 20 to 30% of greenhouse gases and absorbs 90% of the excess heat that is caused by emissions. Maybe when most of us hear the term carbon sinks, we might think of rainforests, but the plants and algae in the ocean fulfill the same role as the trees and the plants on the land. Right now, as I was telling, there are many activities, but for instance, there is one that causes a lot of emissions, like the bottom trawling fisheries, that it's one of the most harmful fisheries practice, and it's estimated that it exceeds, for instance, the emissions called from the entire aviation industry. So with this legally binding framework, there will be a framework for environmental impact assessments of all activities, and that will help prevent those activities from taking place and maybe substantially mitigating their effects on the ocean health.
Gladys, it's great news. Lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Remember, if you've got a climate question you would like us to look into, you can get in touch, of course. Send us an email to theclimatequestion@bbc.com. You can even record a voice note, and you might find yourself featuring as part of our podcast.
The top stories live from the Sky News City studio. A late-night deal to save the UK arm of the embattled Silicon Valley Bank. HSBC's purchase secures the deposits of more than 3,000 customers, averting a crisis in the UK's tech sector. Also today, house builders call for help in the budget to build more highly energy-efficient homes. Plus, beauty retailer Sephora hits the UK with the much-anticipated launch of its first store in London's Westfield. Good morning, this is Ian King live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. Lots to get through this hour on the rescue of Silicon Valley Bank UK, but we're beginning with some breaking news. Gary Lineker is due to return to presenting sport on the BBC. It's understood the corporation will apologise to the Match of the Day presenter. Our correspondent Ivor Bennett is outside the broadcasting house with the latest. Ivor.
Yes, a very dramatic development that's just broken in the last few minutes. Sky News understands, as you say, that Gary Lineker will return to presenting duties, sport presenting duties here at the BBC. We understand that it will be the BBC who will be apologising to Gary Lineker after taking him off air on Friday. So quite the turn up here. And this, we were waiting for official confirmation from the BBC. Nothing yet. We did expect a resolution to this issue this morning at some point, but I don't think anyone really expected this. We were thinking there'd be some sort of middle ground fudge, and of neither side having to apologise, so that neither side lost face, but it seems not. As I say, Sky News understands it'll be the BBC apologising to Gary Lineker, with him due to return to presenting duties. In fact, I can bring you the statement now from Tim Davie, the Director General of the BBC. We've just had that confirmed now. It's quite a lengthy statement. Here it is. He says, everyone recognises this has been a difficult period for staff, contributors, presenters, and most importantly, our audiences. I apologise for this. The potential confusion caused by the grey areas of the BBC's social media guidance that was introduced in 2020 is recognised. I want to get matters resolved and our sport content back on air. Impartiality is important to the BBC. It is also important to the public. The BBC has a commitment to impartiality in its charter and a commitment to freedom of expression. That is a difficult balancing act to get right, where people are subject to different contracts and on-air positions, and with different audience and social media profiles. The BBC's social media guidance is designed to help manage these sometimes difficult challenges, and I'm aware there is a need to ensure that the guidance is up to this task. It should be clear, proportionate, and appropriate. It goes on. Accordingly, we are announcing a review led by an independent expert reporting to the BBC on its existing social media guidance, with a particular focus on how it applies to freelancers, outside news and current affairs. The BBC and myself are aware that Gary is in favour of such a review. Shortly, the BBC will announce who will conduct that review. Whilst this work is undertaken, the BBC's current social media guidance remains in place. And finally, he says, Gary is a valued part of the BBC, and I know how much the BBC means to Gary, and I look forward to him presenting our coverage this coming weekend. So that's a statement apologising to Gary Lineker from the BBC's Director General, Tim Davie, and we've had reaction from Gary Lineker as well. The presenter saying, quite succinctly, I am glad that we have found a way forward. I support this review and look forward to getting back on air. So an about turn from the BBC from just a few days ago, when they removed Gary Lineker from presenting duties for refusing to apologise for that tweet criticising the government's language around the announcement of its small boats policy, tackling migrants crossing the channel and arriving in the UK. They removed him from air. Now he's coming back in time for next weekend, with the BBC apologising to its highest paid presenter and announcing a review of its social media policy and impartiality policy and guidance for staff on using social media. So quite a dramatic development here at New Broadcasting House. And once again, reaction from Gary Lineker saying, I am glad that we have found a way forward. I support this review and look forward to getting back on air.
Ivor, thanks for that. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris is on the line now. Rob.
So Gary Lineker will be returning to the BBC, as we revealed a short time ago, and confirmation from the corporation that Lineker will be able to return to presenting this weekend with FA Cup coverage. He had been stood down on Friday night in an unprecedented move by the corporation, which took odds with his tweets, and Gary Lineker was determined not to apologise for his tweets, and his determination to be able to continue tweeting on political matters was at the heart of this, which did lead to the discussions and the debates over the application of the BBC's impartiality guidelines. And Gary Lineker believed, as a freelancer, he was able to post freely on matters politically, and he has just posted himself on Twitter. Gary Lineker, he said, after a surreal few days, I'm delighted that we have navigated a way through this. I want to thank you all for the incredible support, particularly my colleagues at BBC Sport for the remarkable show of solidarity. Football is a team game, but their backing was overwhelming. What Gary Lineker is referring to there is the fact so many of his BBC Sport colleagues decided they would not commentate on matches, which did lead to Match Today airing on Saturday night with pure ambient sound from the stadiums, with no commentary, no pundits, no presenter, and reduced from an hour and 20 minutes to just 20 minutes. As I understand it, Gary Lineker's team has been in negotiations, his agents, with the BBC all weekend, and they were unwilling to concede on his right to be able to express opinions on matters that matter to him, particularly his support for refugees, which has been well known for sort of several years. He's had refugees living with him, and he wanted to be able to have the right to continue to be able to comment on political matters. And it has brought us to a head now with the apology of form from the BBC and that review of just how freelancers will be able to post on social media.
We only have an hour for our business show.
We have apparently had a tweet from Gary Lineker. There it is. After a surreal few days, I'm delighted that we've navigated a way through this. I want to thank you all for the incredible support, particularly my colleagues at BBC. Well, you've actually just read this out, Rob. This is just Gary Lineker saying what you've just said.
He says, he's posting this in a Twitter thread, I have been presenting sport on the BBC for almost 3 decades, and I'm immeasurably proud to work with the best and fairest broadcaster in the world. I cannot wait to get back in the MOTD chair on Saturday. We'll have to wait for the next post in what he says will be a 4-tweet thread, but certainly
Right, I think we've lost Rob Harris there. We will, of course, have comprehensive coverage of this story throughout the morning here on Sky News. But meanwhile, back to our top story now. And a crisis in the UK's tech sector was averted this morning when HSBC UK bought the UK arm of America's Silicon Valley Bank for a symbolic £1. The deal, announced by the Treasury and the Bank of England at 7 o'clock this morning, means that the deposits of the bank's 3,300 UK customers, nearly all of them tech startups, will remain safe, and their banking services will remain uninterrupted. The Treasury and the bank spent most of the weekend trying to line up a buyer for SVB UK, which has some £6.7 billion worth of deposits and £5.5 billion worth of loans. Well, let's bring in our city editor, Mark Kleiman, who broke the story this morning. Mark, give me a flavour of the kind of negotiations that have been going on this weekend.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. It's been pretty evocative of the 2008 banking crisis, to be honest. I mean, where almost every weekend during that very febrile period, there was at least one bank that was in negotiations with regulators and the government about securing its financial position. In the case of Silicon Valley Bank UK, Ian, clearly this is not a household name. It's not a big high street lender like the banks we were talking about in 2008 were the likes of Royal Bank of Scotland and Lloyds. But at the same time, this was an important moment, both in terms of testing the Bank of England's resolution regime, which was introduced after that crisis of about 15 years ago, but also because of the importance of Silicon Valley Bank UK to its customer base and the wider British technology industry. Now, clearly, if customers had not been able to access their bank accounts this morning and were facing the loss of very substantial deposits as part of an insolvency process, that would have caused chaos, not just in the technology sector itself, but in its supply chain and beyond. And we saw over the weekend a letter from hundreds of technology entrepreneurs to Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, warning about the impact of Silicon Valley Bank UK's demise. And I think that did help focus the minds of those in the Treasury over the weekend. You have to say, in that the test of the Bank of England and the government's bank resolution regime has passed with flying colours, in that this deal was able to be executed and delivered before markets opened on Monday morning. And of course, HSBC, as Europe's largest lender, one of the world's biggest banks, is a safe haven for Silicon Valley Bank UK. We'll obviously have to wait and see more about what's happening in the US banking industry, with concerns about a number of other banks besides Silicon Valley Bank. But for the moment, the conclusion from those who have both worked on this deal and those in the tech industry over the weekend is that it probably represents the best possible outcome for this major lender to Britain's technology sector.
Thanks, Mark. Well, joining me now for more on this is James Edsberg. He's a banking sector consultant. James, welcome to you. I mean, that's a very key point that Mark has just made, that the UK's resolution scheme has passed this test with flying colours, hasn't it, really?
Yes, it has. I mean, under the scheme, £85,000 worth per deposit, or £175,000 per joint account was guaranteed. But there's a huge sigh of relief across the tech sector this morning as the deal was done over the weekend, which, as Mark has just been saying, guarantees really the future. It was an existential threat to some of our kind of brightest prospects in the UK in terms of technology and life sciences, those fast growth businesses that might well be the big companies of tomorrow. And without their ability to be able to meet payroll, to pay for office premises, all the usual cash demands that there are on startups and early stage businesses, they were looking really at a very, very serious situation. And at a stroke, HSBC has really ridden to the rescue.
James, in the US, the government said over the weekend that they were effectively backstopping SVB in the United States. All depositors would get access to their money. Why didn't the UK government go down that approach? Why did it seek to find a buyer instead for SVB UK?
Well, I think, the most natural and the best thing for a bank to be able to do when it gets into trouble, particularly one like SVB UK, where it's a standalone bank, it had an independent board of directors. Although, as your correspondent was saying a moment ago, Silicon Valley Bank sounds like it's just geographically concentrated on the west coast of California. Actually, as a global bank, it does work and has clients and customers in this tech sector right across the globe, in China, India, Israel, Scandinavia, Germany, as well as in the UK. So I think it was your first port of call, if you're trying to solve this situation, is to find a buyer who can swallow the whole business, continue as is, and maintain the value of that asset. In other words, the client-facing people that SVB has in the UK. Their approach, it is a specialist bank focusing on these VC-backed and early-stage companies. If you can do that and continue as best you can, business as normal, that's the best thing. That's the best thing for the bank and its customers and the sector.
James, what's in this for HSBC?
The access to a team and an approach which is focused on this part of the economy. SVB was doing things that not many other banks were doing. And if you talk to entrepreneurs, they will often say that when they go to the high street banks, they are met with quite often a quite rigid and inflexible approach to how to how they kind of their needs are met. Startups need flexibility. They need facilities. They need to be talking to someone who understands what the fundraising process is. And that skill set doesn't exist hugely in many of the high street banks. So what HSBC is getting is quite a narrow but quite a deep access to a segment in the market which is not well served. And if they look after this asset well, then, as I say, that's good news not only for the sector, but may well be valuable for HSBC as well. That having been said, and HSBC is a huge bank. It's Europe's largest bank. It's one of the world's largest bank. And if you look at the size of SVB UK, I think they have about 5.5 billion in loans compared to over $1 trillion in loans that HSBC has. So SVB being taken on by HSBC is not in any way going to undermine or affect HSBC's strength.
James, what are the lessons here for regulators? And in particular, I mean, SVP's parent in the United States looked pretty well capitalised. It looked to have done everything that regulators have sought from banks post the financial crisis.
I think there are a number of lessons to be learnt there. The first thing is the suddenness with which this happened. A run on a bank now happens at lightning speed. We remember the days back in 2008, 2009 when people queued up at branches or at cash points to take their money out. These days, it's the question, even in business banking as well as in personal banking, you open an app, you complete an online request to transfer your funds, and it takes minutes to close an account. So this really was, I think, pretty much the first run on a bank of the digital age. And that gives, cause for thought, I think, for US regulators. The second thing I think is really important to emphasize, and we're seeing this morning pressure on what are called the US regional banks or mid-tier banks, is that they are not subject to the same stringent liquidity and other requirements that the world's biggest banks, the US's biggest banks, and European banks are subject to. And there is going to be questions, I think, asked about whether that stringent regime around liquidity should be extended further down the rankings of banks in the US, so that they too are subject to the same requirements. And so far that hasn't happened. But it looks like other US banks are under pressure this morning that may have been suffering from the same issues that SVB was, which was an investment in bonds, which were under pressure as a result of interest rates going up. I think the other reason why banking stocks are under pressure today is that this chapter, what's happened over the last 3 or 4 working days, puts into question this incredibly aggressive increase in interest rates that the Fed has been pursuing over the last year. It's been the fastest increase in interest rates in history. And what that's done is put under pressure any bank that is holding a large proportion of its assets in bonds, and as interest rates go up, those bond values drop. And that's what left SVB in trouble.
OK, James, we have to leave it there. Appreciate you joining me today. Thank you. Well, joining me now is Richard Adey. He's Chief Executive and co-founder of the British e-scooter manufacturer Tor. Its operations in the United States bank with SVB and had their funds frozen on Friday. Richard, welcome to you. How much money did you have on deposit with SVB in the US?
Well, earlier at the weekend when I was being interviewed, you kind of wanted to avoid it because you didn't want to become the story. But we had 375,000. We kind of knew 250 was protected, so it was a relatively small amount. I mean, we do reasonably good treasury management. But it would have been serious for us. I mean, we're a relatively small business. You can't just take a hit of 125,000. But it was pretty clear something was going to have to happen. I mean, when we went to the States, we went because we set up in the UK, and the UK promised that regulation would change on scooters. When it didn't change, we then got funded in the States, and we got funded by one of the VCs, a well-respected VC, and you get encouraged to go to SVB.
Yes.
And in fact, in the UK, I have investments where they actually, as part of the funding, they had to do it. So then you end up with 50% of the sector effectively managed. And if they didn't do something on Monday morning, there was going to be really serious harm.
And you think that arrangement was pretty commonplace throughout the United States? If you were a VC-funded tech business, you were basically pointed towards banking with SVB? Yeah,
I mean, there was a very close relationship between the venture capital and private equity sector. And SVB is not like any other bank. I mean, I think we have to be really careful here. It was so close, and I don't think this story's played out yet. We're all breathing a sigh of relief because we want a simple story, and the simple story is it was poor treasury management by SVB. That's not the whole story. The story is there's much more risky debt in there, and we were discussing how HSBC took on for £1, but they'll have to look at that loan book very carefully because very soft loans were put in as part of what SVB was doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's by no means clear what happens to the US arm of SVB at all now. I mean, all we know is that the US government's standing behind the depositors right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's tricky, isn't it? Because now they become the lender of last resort. And that changes the whole risk profile of the banks. That's not, and that's partly why the UK government hasn't resolved this issue yet. So for me, I breathe a sigh of relief. I had a business in the UK that had 8 million held. And in the US, it was a smaller amount. But it is very tricky to know how this goes forward. I mean, the UK has many problems. It has problems with its ability to raise funds in the tech sector anyway, and to have SVB go into administration. And to be honest, HSBC, we bank with HSBC in the UK. They will not provide the same service that SVB provided.
Yeah, very interesting though. Here in the UK, the majority of your banking business was not with SVB UK. It was with one of the traditional lenders.
Yeah, what happened was, when we started 3 years ago, I'd been in the States helping Tesla out, and I came back and thought this scooter rental business is never going to work. There's too much money in it, but ownership of scooters would work. And I had a relationship with HSBC already, so that's how we started. And we assumed that we would be building and selling scooters in the UK because the UK government had said 3-4 years ago that was going to happen. When it didn't happen, we went to the States. We funded out of the States. We had Trucks, which is a really well-respected micromobility VC. And they said, look, here we are, there's the money. They didn't say you have to go with SVB, but it was almost a badge of honour. I found myself saying, of course, in the States, we bank with SVB. So that's how that happens. So it happens partly just by momentum, but it also happens because once you do a financing deal, it wasn't the case with us, but with many others, you're forced to, as part of the deal, get SVB to do the banking. So they must have felt on Friday, most of those companies, what can I do about this? I'm now caught. I can't even do my payroll. I can't do anything. And it's not even my fault.
Richard, it's been fascinating talking to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Nice to meet you.
Some other business news stories for you now. And the life and pensions company Phoenix Group has reported a full-year operating profit of £1.245 billion on an adjusted basis for 2022. That was up 1% on 2021 and was ahead of City expectations. Well, Phoenix, which has 12 million customers across the UK, manages policies previously sold by household names such as Britannic, Pearl, Abbey Life, Scottish Provident, National Provident and Scottish Mutual. The company, which also sells new policies under the Standard Life banner, said it was expecting to close its recently announced takeover of Sun Life of Canada UK in April, and it added that it continued to assess further acquisition opportunities. The household and motor insurer Direct Line has plunged into the red as a result of spiralling motor claims costs and harsh winter weather. The insurer, which recently parted company with its chief executive Penny James, made a pre-tax loss of £45.1 million for 2022, compared with a profit the previous year of £446 million. Well, John Greenwood, who's the acting CEO, said motor claims inflation had been 14% of where the company had expected it to be during the year. He added that 2022 had seen the highest weather event costs for more than a decade, with £149 million worth of claims, which was more than twice as much as the £73 million that Direct Line had budgeted for. He said that the largest event was December's freeze, with £95 million worth of claims following prolonged periods of sub-zero temperatures across Scotland and northwest England. I can tell you Direct Line shares are currently off by more than 6% on the session so far. Now, there's real pressure on the government to publish its semiconductor strategy, with warnings that the UK's chip manufacturers will head to the US and Asia without proper support. But this morning, there's good news from a British startup. Intrinsic Semiconductor Technologies says it's secured £7 million worth of investment. Joining me now is the Chief Executive, Mark Dickinson. Mark, welcome to you. Before we get on to that, there's an SVB angle here with you too, because I gather you were encouraged to bank with them, but you chose not to.
Good morning, Ian. Yes, absolutely. I came under pressure. I mean, there was... those in the industry see the SVB as a very important bank for startups and therefore some pressure to go and bank with them. In the end, somewhat fortunately for us, we decided to stay with a bank, a British bank, that had been one of the few banks that had taken us on board during the middle of the pandemic, which was a really hard time to open an account. So basically that loyalty sort of trumped the desire to go to a bank which is lined up specifically for startups. But I'm very grateful to the government for having brokered a deal which now means people like myself can sleep easy after a very tumultuous weekend.
No, indeed. Well, indeed. I think lots of people. Now your technology was, your intellectual property was developed at University College London. What specifically does it do?
Yes. We're a spin out of UCL. The technology has been worked on for a long time, 10 years or so at University College London. It's a memory technology. Memory is an incredibly important part of the semiconductor infrastructure, if you like. All processors require memory, and we use it all the time. It's a $660 billion industry for the type of memory that we are working on. And basically, our memory allows, in particular, small and handheld battery-powered devices to become much more powerful than they are today. And one of the reasons that's important is because we want to add AI to everything. AI is booming. Most of the AI that we see today is done in the cloud. And this type of technology will allow that type of functionality to move to what we call the edge, to those things that wearables, for example, or sensors, or things which are at the edge of our network. They need lots and lots of memory, they need more memory, and we've got a very interesting and new style of memory.
And what will this funding enable you to do?
So we've just got £7 million in funding from a range of VCs, VCs that originally backed us, and Octopus Ventures, a big UK VC, of course. And that will allow us to more than double the size of our company. We're a small company, so that's not huge in numbers terms, but it also allows us to continue our development of this and take this technology to commercialization, to production status. And to do that, we need to partner with what we call research facilities that allow us to manufacture this in proper production lines. And that's very relevant to the strategy, if you like, for semiconductors that the government is going to announce.
Longer term, what are your ambitions for the business? I mean, obviously there's a big debate over the likes of Arm Holdings listing in the US rather than the UK. I mean,
yes.
You're way off thinking about an IPO, I presume.
We're off, yes, some distance away from thinking of an IPO, but that is, for us, a very real, if you like, aspiration, and one that we can hopefully achieve within 5 years or so. We have a technology which is relevant to every semiconductor device on the planet practically, and therefore we've got huge potential. And replicating, if you like, the ARM model, providing something which is an IP, which is licensed into a global economy, but not actually manufactured, if you like, on UK shores, designed on UK shores, is exactly what we want to do.
All right, Mark, there's loads more I wanted to ask you, but I'm afraid we're out of time. Good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, life remains tough in the hospitality sector. Just as they were getting back on their feet after the pandemic, pubs, bars and restaurants were hit as a wave of rail strikes just before Christmas wiped out lucrative festive trade. Well, today saw Nightcap, the owner of the Cocktail Club, the Adventure Bar Group and the Barrio Familia group of bars, announce record underlying earnings of £4.1 million for the 6 months to New Year's Day, up from £2.5 million in the same period a year earlier. Well, Nightcap's Chief Executive, Sarah Willingham, joins me now. Sarah, welcome to you. I mean, new openings clearly are proving very supportive for you.
Yeah, we're really pleased. I'm a lot less pessimistic than I was, I think, last time I spoke to you. I think that was sometime in November, and I was expecting this half of the year actually to be pretty difficult. But I'm really pleased. Our customers have held up. People are still wanting to go out. The big thing for us, more than anything, is the rail strikes. That's the one single thing that is impacting the hospitality sector more than everything else that we talk about, the increase of costs or the crunch on the consumer. It's down to the rail strikes.
Absolutely. I think in this statement you say the rail strikes cost you £1.2 million during the period. Presumably it's more since year end.
Yeah, and we have more to come as well. That's the thing. And I think the sort of deliberate targeting of the really critical days for hospitality will continue to see that the high street will really struggle if they continue to target Saturdays, Thursday this week, which means nobody goes out on a Friday, and yet hospitality, as always, continues to do as well as it possibly can, continues to pivot its business model, continues to put on more events on a Sunday or on a Wednesday to try and compensate for it. People really, really want to go out. There is the underlying demand is there. They just need to allow us to trade.
Sarah, what about this broader trend of hybrid working? I mean, there's a lot of concern about what it's doing for city centres. You don't appear to be on the receiving end of too much of that.
So what we've seen, and it really is a change in the way that people are behaving, actually, without a shadow of a doubt. So Friday is much quieter than it used to be. Saturday is huge compared to, it's almost like an amalgamation of Friday and Saturday. Thursday is the new big night out, and we even see a Tuesday, weirdly. I think that's the night that everybody goes into the office. So if people are at home on a Monday and a Friday, we're seeing Tuesday is bigger. Thursday, we put lots more events on. That tends to be a really good corporate night. Friday's really quiet. In fact, I've got friends that own a gym, and they tell me that the Friday night is now the biggest night in the gym. You know, I mean, it really is a shift in trend, but Saturday is double what it used to be.
Sarah, what about inflation? How are you grappling with inflation? And do you think it's peaked yet? Do you feel it's peaked?
Well, I think, I mean, the government have been absolutely clear that that is one of their biggest targets for this year. And if they can halve the inflation, they can keep unemployment under control and not increase the interest rates anymore, I think we will see the economy come back into a stable by the end of the year. It's that, along with the train strikes, is the most important thing that we need to see. We were lucky later last year. We fixed most of our energy. We've capped our interest rates. And we've got long-term fixed contracts with our suppliers. And of course, we serve very little food with drinks. It's a very, very simple business model. So the inflation has much smaller effect on our business than you will see on a lot of other businesses.
Okay, Sarah, we have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Good to catch up with you this morning. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, 18 years after closing its UK stores, the beauty retailer Sephora has returned to the high street with the opening of a 6,000 square foot store in Westfield in West London. Well, Sephora closed its doors in 2005 after failing to compete with the likes of Boots and Superdrug, but it returned to the UK online only last autumn. Joining me now, Sarah Boyd, the managing director of Sephora UK. Sarah, welcome to you. Is this an acknowledgement that it was a mistake to pull out of the UK in the first place?
Well, what I would say is the response we've had this time has been really overwhelming. It's been incredibly moving and has far exceeded our expectations. Speaking to people in the queue, some of whom arrived at midnight the night before to wait for the opening, people had come from all over the UK, all corners of the UK and abroad, different groups of people had come with friends. There was a fantastic energy, so it was great to see the excitement.
What made you choose that location?
We, as you would expect, are looking at a number of locations, both for now and the future, and we felt that Westfield, which is the biggest mall in Europe, and had this fantastic mix of mass market and luxury, F&B, and also entertainment, really felt like home for us. They're a fantastic partner, and we're really happy with the space that we've got.
Now, obviously, your parent company is LVMH, the world's biggest luxury goods company. Will you be selling any of their other brands?
We do have many of their other brands. All of the beauty brands are represented in the store and also online.
What's the typical customer that you're targeting here? Can one talk about that?
It's difficult to say because it's very broad. Anyone and everyone is welcome in our store and online, of course. And what we expect to do is to create an environment where everybody can have fun and be inspired and to be unapologetically themselves. So it's really very, very broad, but we go from quite young. We've had school kids in, especially over the weekend. There was lots of school kids coming in, all the way up to the very elderly and really from all backgrounds and profiles.
I mean, this is a ferociously competitive market. I mean, quite aside from Boots and Superdrug, you've got people like Harrods launching their own standalone beauty brands now.
That's correct. But I would say, and I can't speak for the competition, again, speaking to people in the queue and in store over the last few days, they're very excited and very grateful for us bringing Sephora to the UK. People know us from when they go on holiday to the US or France or Dubai, and they've been really excited by us coming back. So it's been very humbling.
Now, of course, you first put your toe back in the UK waters with an online business called Feel Unique. Did that inform this decision, or was it going to be something that happened anyway?
Well, this is essentially our third step. So quite rightly, as you say, a little over a year ago, we bought Feel Unique. And then we launched Sephora online, both with a web and app version in October last year, which was also very, very well received. So this is step 3. We're going to learn an enormous amount from this store. We've learned a lot already in the first 4 days, but there's also a recognition that we need to go further. 75% of our online orders are delivered outside of London, so we need to provide a physical environment with more proximity to our customers elsewhere in the UK, and that's what needs to happen next. So the good news is that if people are ordering online right now, 80% or over 80% of our deliveries are made the next day, so people don't have to wait too long.
You're clearly not worried about the cost of living crisis.
Well, what I would say is our single biggest brand at the moment in store is Sephora Collection. And Sephora Collection is a very, very affordable brand that is also exceptional quality. And so what we want to do with that, and also with our minis and more, which is essentially our smaller size products that we have traditionally near the tills, we want to make sure that we have something for everybody at every price point.
And what about this issue of inflation? Do you think it's peaked?
I'm not sure whether it's peaked, but what I would say is that we are working very closely with our suppliers and also with the other markets across Sephora globally to make sure that pricing is fair and competitive for our consumers, and that we do, as I mentioned before, have things for every price point across the board.
All right, Sarah, got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Or email us at admin@powerword.com. Empowerment is always key to development. Doing good outreach, although
the move is seen as potentially obliging the US Federal Reserve to pause its current rate hiking policy. As you can see, sterling is up by 0.25% on the morning against the US dollar. It was up by more than 0.5% earlier on today, more or less unchanged right now against the euro. The single currency, meanwhile, also benefiting from dollar weakness. It's up 0.25% right now against the dollar. Well, on the equity markets, there was mixed trading overnight in the Asia-Pacific region. As you can see, Tokyo and Sydney both finished low. I think Mumbai, which isn't on the screen, was also in negative territory. On the plus side, there were gains in both Hong Kong and in Shanghai. Well, in Europe, stock markets are deeply in the red this morning. All of the main continental European indices quite sharply lower. Look at that, the IBEX in Madrid and the MIB in Milan off by more than 3% apiece. The DAX in Germany and the CAC 40 in France both off by 2 and 0.75%. There are some gainers this morning. Talking points include Deutsche Post, which is up some 2% in Frankfurt after striking a wages deal with the unions. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is also in negative territory, off some 2% right now in a broad-based sell-off. The leading faller is the asset manager M&G, which is off 3.75%. That's on broker comments following last week's results. All of the banks, most of the asset managers are off as uncertainty continues to hang in the air. Among the leading fallers in the FTSE this morning include Standard Chartered, Lloyds and NatWest Group. Outside the FTSE, there you go, NatWest, Standard Chartered off 5.5% now, Lloyds off 4.5%, nearly there as well. Outside the FTSE, a lot of statements issued by companies insisting they had no exposure to Silicon Valley Bank or did not expect to be affected by a possible failure of that group. All of them, though, are in negative territory. They include THG, the Hut Group, it's off by 1.5%, Moonpig, which is off 4.5%, and Naked Wines, which is 2% lower right now. As for the oil price, well, despite the weaker dollar, that has also been underwater this morning. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $81.35 a barrel. That is off 1.75% on the day. Well, joining me today is Philip Shaw. He's Chief Economist at Investec. Phil, good to see you in person as well.
Empowerment is always key to development. Doing good outreach under the auspices of His Royal Highness Osi Ejatekbo VII presents Avatime Youth Empowerment Outreach 2023 with the theme Run to Jesus, Your Only Savior, Acts 10 verse 38. Date is Saturday the 26th of March to Saturday April 1st, 2023. Below are the dates and venues. 27th March, Avatime Vanne Community Center. 28th March, Avatime Amejokwe Market Square. 29th is Avatime Jokbepeme Primary School Compound. 30th March, Avatime Biakpa Community Center. 31st March, Avatime Bajame Community Center. Then April 1st is Avatime Fume and Jokwe Community Center. The time is 6:30 p.m. every day. Speakers: Reverend Michael K.M. Esiama.
We have redemption. We have been redeemed from the iniquities of the past. So you don't need to beg them anymore. Oh, indeed. the living God.
Reverend Samuel Avagame and Reverend Prince Mauli Ajay kindly consider with a generous heart donating to this noble cause financially, materially, or with your time and presence. Note, there will be free health screening during the day for all. Contact us on WhatsApp 0044 7851 205 626 or on mobile 054 959 1452 054 959 1452 or email us at admin@powerwordint.co.uk.
SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The hole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Star Radio.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodoma, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prum Prum Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Body is your ma. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And I sabi you know, just have fun and stay blessed.
Online, on mobile, and soon on DAB. This is Starr Radio UK.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
At work.
at home,
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
They fade, Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands, the hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore, and that's what makes you are God. You will never change. You remain the same to the end. To the end. You are God. One who took welcome away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you, and once again we say welcome to the Monday edition of the morning show. Today is the 13th day of the month of March 2023. With time now 10:48 from the House of London. Love for you. Wow, lots of facts that need to be verified, and also that we have to do to bring the program to you, all going on. But let me say once again, good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, HRH Linda Pallien, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. And to every one of you who have tuned in this morning, wherever you might be, whether near or far, but here this morning. Those of you in Nigeria, those of you in America, those of you in Europe, those of you in Asia, Australia, I salute each and every one of you. But it's not time for the night. Anjana Dedeji, Tosino, Olakunle, Samsudin, and all you wonderful people there. I salute each and every one of you. All protocol observed. Welcome once again. Well, as you know, yes, the quote of the day says, if success were to be by luck, there will be fewer publications on the subject for people who undergo apprenticeship on how to become successful. So you have to prepare yourself, whatever it is, you have to prepare yourself. Even if not, billions will fall into your lap and you wouldn't know what to do with it. Or you might misappropriate it. Okay. So wherever you are, once again, Starr Radio UK. Let's move on straight to the weather front. Well, so on the weather front this morning, this is what the weather has got in stock for you. If you are in London and the southeast of England, this afternoon we'll see a mix of variable cloud and sunny spells while staying mostly dry. The odd shower cannot be ruled out. However, strong southwesterly winds expected. Tonight will turn increasingly cloudy as a band of rain moves in from the northwest now during the first half of the night. Now some brief clear spells after this before cloud and showers may move in for dawn. Top temperature 14 degrees, the lowest 4 degrees. UV level is going to be low, pollution low. Sunset 18 hours and 1, and that's 18:01, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 06:20 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. Let's take you straight to the travel updates wherever you are. Don't touch the dial.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I will keep you navigated. I promise I'll be on the Starr Radio Traveler update that comes to where every weekday from 10:40. It's now coming at 10:51. Now, on the travel this morning, on the underground, Circle Line has got part suspension. Hammersmith and City part suspension. Jubilee Line minor delays. And the Metropolitan Line has got part suspension as well. Now, London Tram Link and the London Overground has also got minor delays. So please check before you leave. That aside, all the others, DLR and the other underground lines are in good service. Now moving on straight to the major roads in London. A4 Central London Red routes have got closures. A13, A2 and A23 has all got serious delays. On the riverbanks this morning, I can tell you shortly, good service there. The London Cable Car, good service there as well. Moving on straight to the final segment of the travel update, that's the National Rails. Now, Chiltern Railways has got severe delays. Greater Anglia, minor delays. Now, ScotRail, minor delays, and Transport for Wales, minor delays there as well. That aside, all the others have got good service. And that is why I come back to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Welcome back to the program. Yes, we're running behind time, so we have to just get on with it. Now, when it comes to the global trotting, which comes on at 10:50, and then we move into updates from Nigeria just after 11. Now, when it comes to Nigeria, there's some of the stories making around. Governors give Malami Emefiele Tuesday ultimatum to obey Supreme Court. Now, you see, a segment of the government seem to try to obey the Supreme Court. Others are not. And you ask yourself the question, what exactly is going on there? But we'll be telling you more about that. My daughter preparing for masters in UK before a train crash. That's what the dad is saying before a train crash. What train crash was that? We'll be telling you more about that during the course of the program once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki on the show. But let's move on straight to some other stories. Yeah, PDP crisis article reacts. Blast Wiki for deceiving 5G governors. Okay, and MFLA debunks fresh plot against President-elect Tinubu and says it is a fake news. Those are some of the stories making the rounds there. Ex-Boko Haram fighter Monarch arrested for drug trafficking. Okay, let me rest my case there. We'll be telling you more about that. And then activists tackle Supreme Court over Kano's detention. Who are these activists? When it comes to the Southeast, we'll be seeing more about appeal court fixes October 16 to hear IPOP's appeal. That is quite a long time to come, right? Okay, now let's move on to some other stories on the African continent. U.S. trains West African militaries as jihadi threat spreads. Now it looks like the U.S. is coming to be doing that as well. We'll be looking at it. Are the Russians better trainers of that? And because we had the French troops there in the Sahel region who were helping those French-speaking countries, and then later on it happened that Mali and Burkina Faso decided, you know what, we've had enough of this. Insurgency is still going on. We want you out, and they've been out. But we have the U.S. that's now going to be training them. Are we saying that the U.S. military training is much better than that will be able to tackle insurgency? Well, we'll be looking more into that. I want to have your take on that one as well. But it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, moving on, still a shaman. Please give blow-by-blow account of how soldier was killed. Now, 6 suspects have been nabbed. A young soldier was killed a couple of... was it last week, Saturday? Well, a soldier was robbed and killed after visiting female friend in Ashaman New Town. Well. But he's been laid to rest. Well, more going to be coming your way from there. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The Beige Bank case. Defense lawyers grill Starr prosecution witness over contradictions. That's one story is making the round. And drama in court as judge exposes Talensi Paramount Chief Tongran's secret plot. What secret plot has he got? And what is he going to be doing? In Begro Ochihine appoints Dasibre Ayebiawe as regent with armed police. Why? Did the community not want, or is the community not accepting that? And then Prop Frimpong Boateng's alleged MPP government involved in Galamsey, a park is saying. Well, lots more going to be coming your way from there. Whoo! But so moving on. Well, Linica to return to air as BBC announces review of guidelines. Well, we'll tell you more about that. And then in other parts of the UK as well, HSBC swoops in to rescue UK's arm of Silicon Valley Bank. The Bank of England and government worked all night to secure a deal involving no taxpayers' money. Okay, so HSBC is doing shares. Okay then. Inflation, alcopops out, and frozen berries in. Healthier shopping habits are reflected in the basket of goods used to calculate rising prices. And then Caroline Flack's mom does not accept Met's apology. Christine Flack says her daughter will still be alive if she had not been charged with assault. But did she assault? Yes, she did. The police had to do what they had to do, but they are pursuing the case, and how they made her turn, they didn't give her any support there. That is where the problem is. Okay? But it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, in other parts of the world, before we take a break, now money in failed US bank is safe. Government says authorities take emergency action to shore up banking system after 2 institutions collapsed. It's one of the stories making the rounds. And then heavy losses reported as battle for Bakhmut rages. Both Ukraine and Russia have reported inflicting significant losses in the eastern city. Okay. And then you can rebuild Mariupol. You can't bring back the dead. Now, Russia captured Mariupol in May after a brutal siege. Now it's trying to win hearts and minds there. They say, well, you can do whatever, but there are people who have died. They are gone forever. What do you think? This is a lot more going to be coming your way, but let's enjoy this song. It's from the one and only Joe Metal, Carl Clottey featuring Joe Metal, and they say there is no one else. It's in the Ga dialect, and so music is a universal language, right? So enjoy it whilst I come back to you with Mr. Olayomi. Just stay tuned. Don't touch the dial.
beno niebo osele mokobe wacha nyumo wonwo beno niebo osele mokobe 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 yebo osele mokobe 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 yebo osele mokobe
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
There is no one like you. Behind and beside you, there isn't any other person. That is what that song seemed to be saying. King of kings, Lord of lords, beside you, there is no one. But when it comes to some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria, gunmen believed to be kidnappers on Friday invaded Grow Home Estate in the Chikakore area of Kubwa, a satellite town of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and abducted several residents. I thought the kidnapping had gone down, but it's still ongoing. But police have rescued kidnappers on another story in Ogun. Journalists in Lagos State. The gunmen seem to not be deterred by the scarcity of cash rocking the nation as they created tension in Elshin village, Olomo community, Apete, Ido local government area of Oyo State. So lots more going to be coming your way. So coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Tell
Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 4 minutes past the top of the hour at the time. The Monday edition of the morning show. And you know that at this segment we bring you updates from Nigeria, everything that has happened in Nigeria over the weekend. Maybe you're listening to us and you got some more information on the ground, as we do like to hear that as well, because we go on the ground as well, trying to also make sure that we got everything that we need to know. But well, closer to home, we have got Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios, who have got all the feeds from there. But let's go back straight to our North London studios, where we have the White Lion himself. Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to all our teams, and good morning to all our listeners from around the world. And welcome once again to the 13th of March 2023, 5 minutes past, Starr Radio UK, an update from Nigeria.
How are you doing, and how was the weekend?
Well, the weekend was a beautiful, enough time with the family as usual. And likewise, enough time to reflect, especially with so many things happening around us. But because we are media, so we see things from different angles. When you're alive, you're grateful. Things happen. I was looking at the Indonesia as the situation there in terms of tourism. That is one of the biggest. But when you look at the current spat of lava that is now disrupting the environment, it have impact on those that rely on these trade. So when you look at Nigeria, you ask yourself so many times, how did we get to where we are today, that a country full of human resources, natural resources, blessed, and as we speak right now, you can just reflect back and ask the same question and question again. How did we get to where we are? Who should we blame? Should we blame God? Should we blame mankind? Should we blame those that have led the country to ditch? But today we are still alive and we are grateful. So that is what we can say. And the weekend was just as beautiful as I have enough rest.
Well, that is good. And we hope that everyone is fine there, and the family, those here and those abroad as well. We hope that they are all doing well. Okay, now listeners, Starr Radio UK in our North London studios, Mr. Olayomi, I'm Archie here in the South studios, and we're bringing you everything that you need to know from Nigeria. Now, first of all, now governors have given Malami MFL Tuesday ultimatum to obey Supreme Court. We know that in Nigeria, when the courts rule, some people decide to adhere to it, others think they are above the law. Up to now, I don't know whether we had Buhari speak about the ruling or of the Supreme Court pertaining to the Naira, and maybe by so giving direction so that everybody knows that this is what the president has said. After he made that past statement before the election, we've now heard him come back to make another statement that this is what the Supreme Court has said, and in relation to that, we are all accepting that statement that has been made. What has happened, and why are the governors now pursuing Malami and MFL?
Bear with me in case the camera is just about to come off. There's a bit of a system that has opened from the background. Okay. We're trying to close that. Okay. So that it doesn't have any impact on that. Yeah, I think we should be stable. Yes, I mean, let's remind ourselves that, again, these are the questions, how did we get to where, the government of the day refused to listen to the court order. As long as we don't respect the court order, then we don't have a society, neither do we have a country, because the reason why we have those courts put in place is to go in line with the constitution of the country. And when you go in line with the constitution of the country, it's also to then be able to deal with issues that could have big impact, to the not just the community, but we're talking about the whole country right now. We're not talking about a trade between myself and another person. We're talking about a country. So the governors have now given the Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, and Emefiele, that the picture is right behind me, up to tomorrow to obey the Supreme Court order. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe they have to go again to the court, and again, they're not going to listen and respect the court. Let's remind people, Buhari still have up to the May before the real handover to the president-elect Bola Tinubu. But what we can say is the state government which sued the federal government on the new Naira design policy have now given the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami's son and the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele till tomorrow to comply with the order of the Supreme Court on the currency. Why have they not kept to the order? It's something that is still a little bit baffling a lot of Nigerians. The Supreme Court has actually said Nigerians can spend the old Naira bill up to December 30. Even though Buhari said only the 200 Naira will be accepted to be spent up to April next month. But since the Supreme Court order has come in place, the question then is, why has the federal government not yet said anything? But it seems that rather than speaking directly to the members of the public, Emefiele, according to the governor of Anambra State, is now saying that he had a private chat with Emefiele, and Emefiele says people can spend the old Naira bill. So the question then is, why has Emefiele himself, with the central bank, they have the spokesperson, they can release this statement officially, rather than through a governor of a state that this news would never even filter through to the whole of Anambra, not to talk about the next state next to Anambra State, talking about the 36th state. But let's wait to see what is going to happen tomorrow when this ultimatum by this governor is going to come to a lapse.
Now it's worrying and shameful because it's the life of people, the wealth of people. Because you have people who are trying. I mean, this man Soludo saying that that's what Emefiele told him in private. Who cares what you guys are saying in private? We want to know what is in the public domain, what we have to do. Because if he told him that, can you go and tell the trader in wherever he is a governor that, you know what, the CBN says that just accept that money. The governor says that just accept that money. No, it wouldn't be. So I don't know what they are doing. Whether they still have it at the back of their mind, because earlier on, all that they were trying to do, they said that they were trying to get people who have actually have lost stuff of money in their homes, or they made those money dodgy money, and therefore they want to do something to quell that. But with the actions that they are taking, it's not working in the interest of Nigerians as a whole. And I'm saddened about it, because I'm looking at Nigerians where there's a need for people to rise up and speak out. People seem to be, you know what, I mean, when we say it, what will happen? And let's go about our duties. But what has been the reaction of people? Because if people are very desperate, then they need to come out to say something that what is going on is not on.
Well, the question is, when we say to those at home that, around the world situation sometimes persists, that you have to also demand, and the only language the government around the world understand is protest. But it seems that Nigerians probably rely more on prayer than protest. And I'm not sure how that works in reality. But I can tell you that over the weekend while we were off, on Saturday, a radio presenter died because he couldn't get money from the bank and he had to trek all the way to work. Ibadan, cash crunch, Ibadan radio presenter slumps dies while trekking to office. Imagine I have to walk all the way from my house to the studio, or you have to walk all the way from your house to the studio because you have the money in the bank, but you could not get the money out to be able to fuel your petrol, your car. So, according to the report, a popular presenter with Ibadan-based private radio station Fresh FM Nigeria, popularly known as Baba Binti, has been reportedly dead after he slumped while trekking to work for his program. This was on Saturday morning. According to the report, Baba Binti was announced during a radio program by his colleagues Komolafe Olaya on Olayomi Amole. Earlier during the program, Onyado yesterday, the duo spoke about the unusual lateness of the presenter to the studio, but towards the end of the program, the presenter announced that he died while trekking from Amonoko to Fresh FM at Challenge, with the hope of getting to a point of sale POS agent to get cash. Well, the cash itself is no longer there, but those that have the cash are now also the armed robbers, which take me to the next story. Gunmen, this is not today, gunmen seems not to be deterred by the scarcity of cash rocking the nation, as they created tension in Election Village, Olayomi community, Apete, Ido local government area of Oyo State, when invaded the community at the wee hours of Sunday with POS machine, where individuals are asked to transfer money. Not just money, they were able to cut away with iPhones, and other valuables as well. So it seems that the criminal gangs have not even had the money. They have their own machine where they get to the community and you do the transfer. The question then is, we hope that the police will be able to trace back where this money has been transferred to, or probably one of those fake accounts that has been used. These are some of the pressure from the government that refused to listen to the Supreme Court order that is creating in the society today.
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK, very, very horrible time for Nigerians. I mean, you've worked, let's sad story of this journalist or this radio presenter who's died. Now, if he had money in his pocket, he would have at least hopped on a commercial vehicle to get to his destination, his workplace. But it wasn't like that. It is a very, very sad situation that is going on. But like we are saying, somebody will say it all starts with P. But when we need to take action, we take action. It's not when something that you can do for things to change. You say you go to pray about it. No, I believe in prayer. I'm a faith person. But there is time for everything. There is a time that you have to pray to God. After that, you get out and you sort things out. Well, I don't know what people are thinking, but it is Starr Radio UK. Updates from Nigeria. We'll hope to hear maybe what the presidency is going to say about all this, as to whether it's going to be going on and what other states are doing. But the Supreme Court's ruling is saying that they should just accept the old currency until end of 2023.
December.
Yeah, December 2023.
Yeah.
But how many states are accepting it at the moment? I'm looking at the whole Nigeria. How is it going so far?
Well, each of the governors of the state are pleading with the residents, the traders, to try to keep the economy of the state running, to accept this old Naira note bill. And some of them are not accepting it, and the reason for not accepting is because not that they don't trust their governor, but because the CBN governor and likewise the presidency is not coming out officially in a statement that they will have listened to on the radio, even though each governor. I saw the governor of Ondo State added a televised in the state as well, pleading, because if you refuse to take this money, then there's going to be danger in the state, and trades will be locked down. In Mushin in Lagos State, I saw a full load of banana destroyed because nobody's going to buy it because the trader is not accepting the old currency bill. And most of these traders are not tech. That means they don't even have, some of them don't have a bank account, and some that have a bank account do not understand in terms of transfer. So it's been a very difficult one, especially for the elderly women that are doing trades across the 36 states today.
Do you think it will be an advantage for people who have this tech to go around, or the federal government actually getting people like, look, this is the desperation that you go through if you want to be having cash on you, but if we go cashless, then we are able to just do that. So do you think it's an opportunity for government to introduce something into Nigeria, and how would people take it?
Well, not that the governors of each state are not doing their best, when it comes to disagreeing that, money can be changed. But the problem is, it seems that, the whole reason for this change of redesign is to topple the election itself. The election is not yet over. Let's remind ourselves that we still have, the most difficult one, which is the governorship election on Saturday. And that means that, whoever is behind this redesign probably still wants to make the final push till Saturday. Maybe after Saturday on the 18th, we might see the governor coming out, the central bank governor coming out, and the presidency. We don't know yet. But the expectation is that the federal government, there are some cabals within the federal government that wanted to topple the election process, bringing out these new Naira design at this particular time.
Well, listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. Updates from Nigeria, 90 minutes past 11 the time. With me here, I'm by myself here in the studio. Mr. Olayomi Koiki is in our North London studios, and we are bringing you updates. I have our producer, Mr. Francis Guy, who is in the building. But okay, let's move on. But Yomi, now we know that Emefiele has been virtually, he had some charges against him by the DSS. Now I'm looking at this quietly, and I'm asking myself, so should Buhari leave office? Well, we know that
yes, he's gonna run away. I can assure you that. Because he's not gonna have any immunity anymore. Especially, remember that El-Rufai, stated it categorically that when Tinubu becomes the president, he's still president in waiting because he has to wait till May 29 to take the baton. That he will reverse that, new Naira redesign. And I'm sure they will have to put the DSS on top of somebody like Emefiele so that he doesn't run away. I mean, but there's rumor, I can't confirm that already his family has left Nigeria.
Well, listeners, what do you think? Is Emefiele going to be in Nigeria when Buhari goes? Maybe they'll come to a visit in the UK and he'll come to the UK, but who knows? Well, we leave that to them. But it is Starr Radio UK. Now let's move on to some other stories. Now, abduction. You were talking about the fact that some were thinking that because of the Naira scarcity, so you want to abduct somebody, what do they pay you in? Are they going to do bank transfer, electronic one that will cost you to be for them to be traced? No, they wouldn't do that. But for a journalist who was missing or abducted in Ogun State and then later on found in Lagos, Yomi.
Well, at least it shows that the security agency are also on top of some of these criminality that is going on. We do get a lot of people that are kidnapped, and sometimes they get killed, and sometimes the security agency are not involved because the family are scared and concerned. Okay, I'm just getting a report. There's a protest going on in Rivers State after a driver was allegedly killed yesterday by the task force operative. The Port Harcourt bus driver protesting against this ugly incident. Again, not a very good one, as security agency discharged their weapons in a very, very wrong way, in Nigeria. So let's go back to the story of this, journalist that was kidnapped. Sometimes some of these, let's go with the story. The operatives of the Ogun State Police Command has rescued a journalist, Oduneye Olusegun, on the 11th of March after he was abducted on the 9th of March by some gunmen in Mobafon area in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. According to the information, the victim was returning to Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, when he was attacked in his Toyota Camry and kidnapped at about almost 2000 hours. Upon his adoption, again, money was demanded, about 30 million in ransom. Then the alarm incident was quickly reported to the police. However, the Commissioner for Police, CP Frank Umba, instructed the DPO of Balinde Division Headquarters, whose jurisdiction the incident happened, to ensure the safe rescue. And we can say that that has been done. I mean, this is what we expect the security operatives to do. When people are kidnapped, they sweep into action, trace the line. The technology is there, and and then try as much as possible to rescue individuals. But sometimes they do so, and sometimes they don't. Meanwhile, the victim was rescued unhurt as his car seats were stained with the kidnapper's blood. So it seems that as detective effort paid off, traced the victim Toyota Camry to Idimo area of Lagos State. So it seems that those that kidnapped him took him back to Lagos State, where the kidnappers were holed up waiting for the ransom. On sighting the police, the kidnappers engaged them in Gwando, which lasted for about 45 minutes before they abandoned the car, fled after sustaining varying degrees of gunshot injuries. So it seems that the attackers are probably people that knows him, or people, again, due to the situation of the country, everybody has become almost a criminal intent, and they're taking advantage of whoever they can take advantage of. This one has gone wrong, and we are so happy that he has returned back to his family safely.
Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Now, there are other stories of kidnapping where a pastor and their wife and their family, and some people. So the question is has the adoptions gone up, or has it dropped?
Well, weekend, when we got the news, not just that alone, we also saw that on Saturday, many villagers were killed and several injured on Saturday while we were away for the weekend, as vigilante operatives clashed with terrorists in Kankara community in Katsina State. The information available indicates that the clash occurred when the terrorists were attending the wedding ceremony of one of their leaders, known as Mayor Katifa Mutua. Imagine terrorists also having wedding ceremony. Also happening in Nigeria. It's just But the one that shocked me was the one of the estate attack by the terrorists in Abuja. We believe that Abuja is the capital city. So if you're going to live in any part of Nigeria today that you'll be safe, it should be in Abuja. But that did not happen. Well, with this story that came out, in Abuja, almost 11 people have been taken away. No fewer than 11 persons, including a family of 5, have been taken away by terrorists who invaded Chikakore Estate opposite Champion Assembly headquarters in Kubwa, Abuja, at about 1 a.m. on Friday. I'm talking about 1 in the middle of the night. What do we know? Further information available indicate that the security operatives attached to the estate tried to engage the terrorists, but let me remind you that these terrorists have enough fire weapon and they will not be able to be dislodged easily if the security are not enough, with enough weapon to to take them out. But they were able to flee through the rail tracks with all these victims. The question then is, what is the security operative doing from that Saturday till today? There is no news yet that 11 people have been rescued. And let me tell you, when people are kidnapped from Nigeria, by the time you wake up, they've walked about almost 4 hours.
Wow.
So they're no longer in that vicinity anymore. What they do is the operation comes into the community and they move out again quickly. And we've seen traces of that. They could be anywhere in Kogi State right now. And that means intelligence will only be what is needed to be able to trace them. And what are the intelligence? Phone calls. When phone calls are made, because most of those that have been kidnapped would probably have to be told to make a call, for ransom to be start paying. Remember that 5 family members, Nigeria has happened to them, plus another 6 in an estate. We're not talking about an open, high road or street. In a closed estate that terrorists were able to invade and remove 11 family, 5 out of that as one single family that is nowhere to be found as we speak today in what is known in Nigeria. May Nigeria not happen to us, but Nigeria has already happened to these families and the rest of the 6.
A sad one there. We hope they are found and rescued, because I don't know what if I would be doing if I were in that particular state. But well, listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. Stories coming your way from Nigeria this morning. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. But before I leave you to bring the other stories making the round, as you did in the South East, you said there was some protests going on. But another one that I've heard is IPOB activists tackle Supreme Court over Kano's detention. Now, what are the latest updates coming from the Southeast as well?
Well, the Southeast is still a very tense, situation, especially as, the government refused to release Nnamdi Kanu after being acquitted and discharged on all the 15 counts. I mean, Kanu should be returned back to where he was picked up, by the Nigerian government of President Muhammadu Buhari, since 2021. And it seems that also, the legal team are trying to make more changes. We don't know how that is going to be happening, but information last week says Kanu is changing some of his legal team as well. The British High Commission have made visit to Kanu, but there's still not enough push, to get him out. So those Biafrans are saying that should Kanu still remain in the captivity of the federal government, they would also continue with their peaceful disobedience of sit-at-home, which occurs every Monday. As I speak to you right now, in Monday, almost every part of the Southeast is locked, and not even transportation can move into the axis because of the fear of unknown. But one thing is, the Biafra continue their push and also continue to demand that the federal government release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, especially as his health is becoming quite alarming for so many people.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio. You could keep your information or your text messages or your WhatsApp messages or post your comments on our Facebook page or on the social media platform. And I promise you one thing for sure that we're going to touch on it. Now, before Yomi brings you the rest of the stories making it around, let me say good morning to Michael Ade. Great work, Archie and Koike. And he say thanks for the update. You guys are doing a great job. And thank you very much, Michael. Without you guys, we'll not go anywhere. And that's why, because of you, we are here once again. But now, let's go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you so much, Starr Radio UK. As other social cultural group are not happy with the election, I'm talking about the Afenifere are not pleased with the outcome of this election, or Han Ize is not pleased. But the Arewa are saying that the 2023 presidential election is the fairest election according to the Arewa groups. The Arewa Youth Consultative Forum has described the February 25th presidential election as the fairest in Nigeria since 1999. Well, I'm not sure if everybody believes in that, but as a social cultural group, that is their take on this election that have just been concluded, even though according to report coming from the leader of the presidential candidate of the PDP, Peter Obi says that he's only doing what is best in the interest of Nigeria by trying to take his case to the court. Also, Buratai, the former chief of army staff, Tinubu's emergency as president-elect is the reflection of the people's will. I say with all sense of responsibility that our collective future is assured under the renewed hope, vision, and mission of Bola Tinubu. This is coming from someone that could not protect Nigeria while he was the chief of army staff, is the current ambassador to Nigeria. But this is the nepotism that takes place in Nigeria today. Naira scarcity. NSCDC raises concern over circulation of fake currency. Imagine that even a civilized society like ours, they still fake counterfeit, and that's why each time you go out there, you give the note, they have to put it under the radar to make sure that it's not a fake one. Mr. Udi further advised citizens to avoid being victims of fraudsters by ensuring they transact with banks, most especially when large sums were involved. Well, this is the same bank that is not giving money out in the first place, and is becoming a lot of concern, to Nigerians today, because when you go to the bank, you cannot get access to the money. Labour Party PDP agent of destabilization seeking INEC chairman resignation. The Arewa Youth, Arewa Youth Consultative has condemned the call for the resignation of the INEC chairman. Is the same group that is saying that the election is free and fair. So they believe that the election has been conducted very well, and there's no need, for this resignation of the INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu. The People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, and other groups are calling, for Yakubu to resign. But the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum described those calling for the resignation of Mr. Yakubu's agent of destabilization. We say no to forces of destabilization of Nigeria, who has been calling for resignation of the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, without any cogent reason. Arewa Youth Consultative Forum National President Yerima Shetima said in a statement yesterday. A very, very difficult one there. As okay, I think you want me to come back to the studio.
Yeah. Miss Gold, good morning to you. Nice to have you on. But this pertaining to this Arewa group support for Mahmoud Yakubu. Now, my question is, do you think that Mahmoud himself, sitting down, looking at everything that went on, if he think that their performance was above water, why wouldn't he have conducted the last Saturday's election, but rather postpone it to next week? Now, he himself has come out to say that people who were involved in all sorts that he was saying, this time around they are going to make sure that they take them out. And so that means that there were flaws in the election. It wasn't free and fair. But for his community, I think we are just blind supporters or sycophancy, or just decide, oh, because this person hails from our area, whatever the person is doing, it's okay. If that was what was happening, the Yorubas will say that, or the Yoruba nation people will say that Tinubu hails from their country, and therefore they are part of the country, and therefore he should be the one. But they said no, this is what we really want to do. So I don't know what the Arewa people are actually saying. What has been the reaction of the general public in Nigeria pertaining to that?
Well, when you look at the statement coming out from the Arewa, there's a particular video I play all the time. And when you listen to them, they say that they are the one holding Nigeria together. And without them, there will not be any Nigeria. So there is this, disunity already in the country, but it seems that everybody is just trying to manage it. And that is why those of us that are saying that, not that we cannot have the good neighbors, the neighbors of the Arewa and the Edo, the other countries, just as, the Soviet Union break away, we understand that there is still tension between Ukraine and Russia, but we hope that things will be resolved amicably. But when you look at the other region, you will see that they've been doing very well with each other after the breakup of the Soviet Union. But when we get this kind of statement coming out, it shows that exactly, and Peter Obi said, I have no issue with Tinubu, I am only challenging INEC process. As INEC done the right process in the first place, everybody agrees that INEC has not done the right process, but the Arewa disagree with the PDP, the Labour Party, and the rest that are calling for the resignation of the INEC chairman. Even though here in UK, INEC chairman spoke at the Chatham House, says election will be transmitted, but it seems that that is something that is said, but that is something that never happened in reality.
Have they published the results now? The BVA. Well,
it's not yet published. So what they're doing is they're configuring the beavers as a preparation for the March 18 governorship election, and I've been told that by tomorrow all this reconfiguration will be ready, and they'll start dispatching them to each of the states where the governorship election will be held.
Wow, interesting. Aziz Gwadasarik says, good morning, brother Koiki, and good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to you, Aziz. Long time. We are doing very well. And we thank God Nigeria has not happened to you. But wherever you are, continue to send your messages through, and I promise you one thing for sure, we will touch on it. Let's go to Yomi for the rest of the stories. Over to you, sir.
So we go straight to, what is going on in just 2 more headline, and then we go straight to the social media. Lagos gubernatorial Aregbesola met stakeholders toward rallies. I saw the video, and then you just keep asking yourself, the politicians are very worried and scared, especially with the current situation in Lagos State. Election is still ongoing, so this weekend, as Nigerians go out again to perform their civic right, for those that still believe in Nigeria, I don't believe in Nigeria. We believe that the right to self-determination must be respected, but we can also stop those that still want to be part of Nigeria, and that means that we're going out again. But there's a lot of pressure in Lagos State, as I saw the governor of Lagos State in the church, shaking hands, with those that came to the church service, and likewise, so many adverts, in the push to bring him back. We also can say that, the governorship candidate of Labour Party was almost assassinated, during one of their rallies on Saturday in the Ekpe area. It shows how election is a do or die. Makinde bows to Murik pressure, removes name from the mosque. We know that Sheyi Makinde, one of the G5, is also going to be recontesting. He endorsed Tinubu, but he's going as a PDP candidate, even though for presidential he did not endorse Atiku. This is how the politics works in Nigeria. Why is there pressure? The Muslim right concern has expressed satisfaction and appreciation to the governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State for removing his name from the signboard of Adogba Central Mosque, Iwo Road, Ibadan. Recall that the Islamic group on Saturday criticized the governor for naming the mosque that he demolished and rebuilt after him. The governor reportedly gave orders for the removal on Sunday following a Saturday protest. Murik commended Makinde in a statement by his director, Professor Isaac Akintola. Let's go now straight to the social media and take some of what is trending. The Naira is trending, and you can tell why. There's a lot of pressure on so many Nigerians. I've seen mothers, women, men crying because they can't get access to the money. And each time you get into the banking hall, you are probably given just less than 10,000 naira. It doesn't matter how much you have in there. Reminder of some of what has been said. There's a particular video, I believe is probably, ignorant, or probably maybe Nigerians are not aware, around the world, money get destroyed. So there's a particular video that is trending this morning where there's a stash of money that has been probably, destroyed, but people believe that that is probably not something to be done. But I think that that money was destroyed, but somebody managed to capture the video. I'm not sure it's saying what somebody would destroy the money and then, put it at the back of their yard. So it's like, when the money gets destroyed, like it becomes a summit, So I think this is what has happened, but the video is trending as we see. Man shows of old Naira note disposed amid scarcity of the Naira note itself. Also, I can see again pressure from each of the state. This is Governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, has given a strong warning to business owners in the state rejecting the old Naira note. The governor made the statement, on his Twitter. There's a lot of pressure, and it seems that without any thing done quickly, is going to kill as many businesses as possible. Let's just take a listen. Let's listen to what the governor is saying from my end there, and then I'll come back again to you in the studio. Once again, this is Star Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Warning to every merchant, trader, petrol station, banker that is refusing old Naira notes. If you are reported to me, I will deal with you to the fullest extent of the law. Well, you heard him there. He's going to deal with anybody refusing that. That is coming as well to Lagos State. Old Naira notes remain illegal tender. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on Monday said that the old Naira note remain illegal tender in his state. One of the sad news when incident happened is when you start reflecting on it. Let's take you back to the incident between the Lagos staff bus and the train accident that occurred, last week. One of the parents of the NYC youth couple that was involved in that accident, may have so rest in peace, have just, was preparing for a master program here in United Kingdom, just as Dr. Chinelo was preparing to leave Nigeria to Canada, but she was eventually killed on the train by the terrorists. But this is not a terrorist attack. This was an accident that should have been avoided. But since Nigerians believe that the driver should be blamed for it, we continue to say that the state government should be held responsible. I saw someone making the visit to the parents. Again, we know that this is just for campaign reason, nothing more than that. But because Sanwo-Olu refused to pay a courtesy visit himself to the family of Bamishe that was also killed in a BRT. But since the election in Lagos State is quite tense, is moving around. Even somebody said, if you invite the governor to your son's birthday party, the rest assured the governor will come down there. So we pray for the soul of this young girl. But this is the question. The father got to know about the incident. The father is in Abuja. As we always say, most Nigerians as well, Bamishe case is still ongoing. There's no protest on our behalf. There's no support to the family. But the next victim happened. Who do we blame? So let's continue to pray that things like such will be avoided. Like I said, when you go to Ikeja today on that same rail track, I can assure you there are so many traders there selling their wares and goods, and you'll probably never understand that an accident happened there just last week.
Well, what lessons have been learned? That's the question that we do ask. Because when it comes to this part of the world, when things like that happen, investigations take place, and then lessons are learned, whatever made that accident happen, so that next time such an accident will not happen, or such magnitude of an accident will not happen. We try our best to bring things to the barest minimum, but we don't see that there. Well, Miss Gold is saying that did Sanwo-Olu visit Bamishe's family? And which we've heard Yomi says no. Now, why is it not? But Miss Gold continues to say, does it mean that the driver was sent by Sanwo-Olu to do whatever he did to Bamishe? And it says, we don't know what to say or think about it anymore. It goes and says, BRT will continue to take many lives until Sanwo-Olu intervenes. So he reckons that it's Sanwo-Olu should...
Another comments here as well from Mrs. Moji Adesanya saying you would deal with the citizen is not welcoming statement from this guy in the governor's state. I mean, maybe they should probably be able to plead with the citizen to try to make business trade with each other, but say that it's going to deal with them is understatement, according to what Mrs. Moji Adesanya is saying here as well. Somebody's asking, when do we get Yoruba Nation? We will get Yoruba Nation when everybody, the politicians and the Yoruba, understand the right to self-determination, and I think that's the best answer to such a question.
Of course. Listen to Starr Radio UK. We hope that with everything that is going on, I mean, some way, somehow, people are able to live their life peacefully. But that statement that was made by that, the audio that you did play, now, that person, is he a governor or what?
He's a governor of Ogun State. Yes.
Now, so as a governor, can he just go? I said I'm not going to pay something. He the governor will come and arrest me. Do you think the mayor can go and come and arrest you in your house?
Well, trust me, some of these governors are very dangerous. It's not like the Europe here where there's rule of law. There's no rule of law in Nigeria, and most of the governors can do and undo.
Wow. It's Starr Radio UK. Let's go to the social media platform, sir.
Well, the social media platform, like I said, is full of the Naira note. That's the current update from there. Yoruba Global Youth, corruption is a disease. It is a veil we need to plug out of this cancer called corruption. And those that are asking, when is the Yoruba Nation going to happen? The Yoruba Nation would happen when you don't believe that a country has been declared on the same social media without any authentic backing to such. That is a complete false. We've said that so many times, and this is also creating a lot of problems among the Yorubas and those that are fighting for the right to Yoruba self-determination. A country cannot be declared and then is still running inside the same country it has declared itself from. I don't know where on earth we got such individuals and groups of people believing in that, and that has been played out on a daily basis to so many Yoruba people. So the Yoruba Nation continue as we also can play our own role, which we are continuing to do. It's still the right to self-determination as well. And when you look at the issue of Gary Lineker, I did a full program on that. He's speaking on behalf of millions of people. It has affected him from not performing his role as a presenter on Saturday. But it seems that the pressure has now bowed down, and the BBC will be bringing him back. Yeah. So if we can continue to put the pressure on our demand in a peaceful manner to the federal government of Nigeria, then the Yoruba Nation will come when it's going to come.
Well, listeners, that is so true. I remember whilst we were growing up, that time Mandela was in prison, and they had all this apartheid system there, and all these racist people who were ruling at the time. We never thought that there was going to be a day. No, we were joining in all the campaigns and the rallies and stuff like that. But one day it did happen that somebody decided.
Even Mandela's statue is now in front of the parliament.
Yeah.
And so, Mandela was called a terrorist at some point.
Yeah. So who knows? We say it all the time. If you believe in the cause, stand for it, fight for it, because who knows? One day, it will come to pass. I do say it all the time. It might happen that you might not even enjoy it. You not see that, but at least you know that you fought something that you stood for. Your children or your children's children have benefited from it. If it comes during your lifetime, or you don't lose anything and you get it, why not? But I tell you, this is a difficult chat to part to chat. My apologies, but if you believe in it, you stand for it. Yomi, before we go.
Well, before we go, let us, continue to remind ourselves that Starr Radio UK, we continue to give you all the headlines coming out of Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, around the globe as well. So I'll be back again same time tomorrow, and it is the first day of the week, and we pray that things will go according to what you plan. But in a country that doesn't respect rule of law, it could be ups and downs, bumps and riding. But we are here to stabilize it for you.
We are here to stabilize it for you. Yomi, thank you very, very much.
Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listeners, we brought you updates from Nigeria, wherever you are. It is the morning show, the Monday edition. I am Archie. 11 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. We're going to take a musical break and some commercials. And once we come back, we'll continue with it. But let me bring you this song. It's from Mika Paris. It's a cover version. It says, she says, change is gonna come. Now, I got two selections that I've made. I don't know. Okay, let me bring you this one first. Something inside so strong. Some way, somehow, things will pan out the way they're supposed to be. You pray about that, and then you act, and then you see what happens. All right? Stay tuned.
The taller I become, the further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can't deny me.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong.
Starr Radio, radio for the people.
I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly, it will blind you. 'Cause there is something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Whoa, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough. Well, we know better. Just look him in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. 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 I know that I can make it, but you do me wrong.
Oh, something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. I know. It doesn't matter. No matter how you try to push me down. Push me under the water. My goodness. Yeah, I'm gonna bounce back like no man's business.
Something inside.
So open your eyes, watch me very closely. And that's what I want to say to every one of you listening to us this morning. Whether the challenges that you are going through, I mean, whatever it is.
Brothers and sisters,
maybe your own personal, maybe a local one, maybe a nationwide, or maybe worldwide issue that is going on, and you are the ones leading it or pushing things to get through it. Whatever it is, there is something in you that is so strong, unbreakable, unbreakable. If you really hang on to that faith. Starr Radio UK.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The of darkness.
So what did that
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.worldlamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@worldlamp@gmail.com. World Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy. Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to almost few seconds to 12. Let me announce the lines opening, then we just crack on. We got about another 30 minutes to look at all the other stories before we take you to Cyprus, where our HRH Linda Pallien is to bring you Career 101. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right then. So if you want to call into the program or you be part of it via any of our contact means, those of you in the UK or in Europe, it's 0208133257 or 580208133257 or 58. If you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it is 0017183032737 0017183032737. To text or WhatsApp is 0753966174 0753966174. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. info@starradiouk.com. All right, so get in touch, and let's do it. Okay. All right, now let's move on to some of the stories making the rounds in this part of the world. Okay, when I say this part, let's go to Africa first. Now, US is training West African militaries as jihadist threat spreads, and the question is, are they better off that? Are they better than the Russians? Are they better than the French, or who? Now, as extremist violence in West Africa's Sahel region spreads south towards coastal states, the United States military has launched its annual military training exercise aimed at helping armies contain the jihadi threat. Now, soldiers from several African countries are being trained in counter-insurgency tactics as part of the annual US-led exercise known as Flintlock that began this week. Now, some 1,300 military personnel from 29 countries are training in Ghana and Ivory Coast amid surging jihadi violence linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group that killed thousands, displaced millions, and plunged countries into crisis. Now, while most of the extremist activity is concentrated in West Africa, inland Sahel region in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the violence is rapidly spreading to the coastal states like Ghana, which is experiencing an upsurge in attacks by unidentified groups which could have links to jihadis. Now, northern Ghana had just one violent incident connected to an unidentified armed group in 2021, but the figure rose dramatically to 19 in 2022, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. Now, this year's US Flintlock, a 2-week event, is taking place amid growing anti-French sentiments in West Africa. The Mali and Burkina Faso have ended their military cooperation with France, complaining that the French military presence was the French military presence, let me take it again, okay, over several years has done little to stem the growth of jihadi violence. The military juntas ruling Mali and Burkina Faso are now getting military support from Russia, and Mali is also working with the private mercenary outfit, the Wagner Group. The US says it wants to help African countries stem the extremist threat before it spreads further across the region. And I think that is something that really need to be done. Something got to be done. But who are we linking up with? Who is going to see to it that everything there goes the way it's supposed to go? But what do you think? This is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, The sad story once again. 30 migrants missing after a shipwreck off Libya. It's another story making the round. Some 30 migrants are missing after a shipwreck on Sunday off the coast of Libya during the rescue attempt by a cargo boat sailing in the area 2 weeks after a shipwreck near Italy that left 76 dead. Now, during the rescue operation, the boat turned over in full transfer of migrants. Now, 70 people were rescued, but around 30 others are missing, unannounced. Announced the Italian Coast Guard. This new tragedy comes 2 weeks after the sinking of Calabria, southern Italy, of a boat carrying some 180 people. It left 76 people dead, and bodies continue to wash up on the shore every day. My goodness. Italian justice has opened an investigation into this tragedy. The maritime authorities being suspected of not having reacted quickly enough to report of the presence of an overloaded ship in the area. But what is pushing these individuals to take this treacherous journey is a question on the lips of most people. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. New Tunisian Parliament to meet for first time since dissolution is one of the stories making the rounds there as well. Starr Radio UK. And then prosecution demands death penalty for 5 men in DRC. And Namibia president names Netumbo Nandi Liat and Twa woman successor. Now let me bring you that and then we'll move on. Namibia's president Gingop on Saturday named Netumbo Nandi Ndiatwa as the sole candidate for the ruling SWAPO party in next year's election. In remarks to the party's top organ, the president called on party members to support Miss Nandi Ndaitawa when official campaigns begin next year. Now, Miss Nandi Ndaitawa is the party's vice president and the country's current deputy prime minister. And our elections took place, in a quote, he said, "We have the result that we are going to have one candidate only. That will be Comrade Netumbo Nandi Ndiatwa, and we will campaign and we have a person who would lead us," President Yengob said. Now, isn't that those who had independent later, countries that have had independent later on in life, so quite recent ones, call it 30 years or thereabout, 20 years thereabout, they seem to be looking at maybe introducing or bringing women to the forefront. Is that what we are seeing there? Now, Omobolaji Abdullahi says, Miss Gold, all the evil politicians, we are not going free in life, and all their generation will not escape it. Okay. This one is a serious prayer is playing on their heads. But it's all Starr Radio UK. Thank you very much, Mobolaji. I hope you are doing very, very well as well. But kudos to the Namibian president. He said that his successor was going to be a woman. That's a vice, Netumbo Nandi Ndiatwa. Okay. Yes, we wish them all the best. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, some officials at presidency currently involved in Galamsey, Professor Frimpong Boateng has alleged, and that allegation is being called for probing by some of the NDC stalwarts. Now, former Environment, Science and Technology Minister Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng says there are many top government officials engaged in the illegal mining popularly known as Galamsey. The renowned professor who served under President Akufo-Addo insists that the rot goes as high as the government seat, that is the Jubilee House. And that is a scathing criticism or accusation. Now, this comes as government continues to trumpet its commitment to illegal mining fight. In an interview, the former minister explained that some of these individuals supervise his ousting from the ministry in order to continue perpetuating the canker. Now, Professor Boateng stressed that allegation of some 500 missing excavators for illegal miners in 2020 were fabrications of persons in the government to get him out of the way. Now, let me tell you that I did not take any excavator for anything. They know the truth. Now, things are coming up. We know those who are behind it, and the party people who are there, people in government, including Jubilee House, who are doing galamsey and so on. Even now, he said, wow. Now, he further suggested that it was his effort that prevented the forest reserves from further dissipation by these government officials, for which reason there are reports of breaches now that he is no more in office. Now, there was an orchestrated scheme even within the party and government to get me out. Why it is that when I left now, everyone is in the forest, he added. Now, meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has his government will continue the fight against galamsey with the support of the security agencies in the short term. By who? Through who? Well, but it's going on. He said this while addressing the nation on Wednesday. That he added that, however, we are determined to promote responsible small-scale mining through community mining schemes. So far, 16 of these schemes have been commissioned, with 3 more to be commissioned by the end of the year. All these schemes are supported with gold caches, pieces of equipment designed to help small-scale miners extract gold from the ore without the use of mercury. Now, the president also noted that in 2021 he launched the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program, which has so far employed several youths in the production of seedlings and reclamation of degraded mining lands. Well, is what Professor Frimpong Boateng is saying true? If it is, then what is the way forward? Okay, now Dr. Apak, one of the stewards of the NDC, a member of Parliament for Bowls South, Dr. Clement Apak, has called for investigation into the allegation by former Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, that persons within the MPP and in Jubilee House are involved in illegal mining, also known as galamsey. Now, according to the MP, galamsey activities are considered illegal, and as such, investigative bodies such Office of Special Prosecutor (CID) must investigate and get to the bottom of the allegation by the former minister. This comes on the back of Mr. Frimpong Boateng speaking on the GTV and also alleging that persons in the government, at the seat of government, Jubilee House, and members of the governing party are involved in galamsey activity. He stated that during his tenure of office, no one was allowed into the forests of the country for any form of mining activities. So they wanted to get him out and quickly go in there, squander or do whatever thing that they want to do, and then leave before these ones come. Wow. 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 That is a serious allegation. And I hope that we'll have these bodies probing. All right then. Now, a final story about the young soldier who was murdered, and the fact that the military also went there to ransack the community. Wow. The story says the Ghana Police Service disclosed in a statement issued yesterday, that's Sunday, March 12, that 6 persons had been arrested for their suspected roles in the murder of a young soldier at a Sherman Taifa on March the 4th, 2023. The police are, however, on the hunt for the iPhone of the deceased, which, according to a statement, was the reason he was fatally stabbed by the first 2 assailants who attacked him early dawn of March 4. The statement said after almost a week of painstaking intelligence-led operation on the 9th of March, the police arrested suspects Safianu Musa alias Dayogo and Ibrahim Abdul Rakib at their hideouts in a Sherman. The other suspects are Samuel Tete, alias Wiper, and Abu Bakr Sadiq, alias Birdman, arrested at their hideouts on the 10th of March 2023, while Yusuf Muhammad and Abdul Ghafaru Abdul Karim were arrested on the 12th and 11th and the 12th of March 2023 respectively. Well, we hope that they seek, and then in addressing the issue of the deceased missing phone, the police said investigations also revealed that the suspects Samuel Tete and Abubakar Sadiq sold the phone which they had robbed from the deceased to suspect Ibrahim Abdul Rakib, who later sold it to suspect Safianu Musa. Now, suspect Safianu Musa is being evasive as to the whereabouts of the phone and claims to have sold it to suspect Yusuf Muhammad and later to suspect Abdul Ghafaru Abdul Karim. Well, the phone is traveled a long distance, but we hope that the whereabouts will bring justice for this young man who was fatally murdered. All right, then. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, quarter past 12 the time. In the next 30 and the next 15 minutes, we'll bring the first part of the program to a close, and then we'll move on to look at some of the other stories making the rounds. We'll move on to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Pallien is, to look at Career 101. My apologies for that. Okay. Now, in other parts of the world, Silicon Valley Bank, money in failed bank is safe. That's what the U.S. government is saying. There was a bit of panic in the financial world, but U.S. authorities took emergency measures on Sunday to shore up the banking system after Silicon Valley Bank, the SVB, and Signature Bank collapsed. Now, people and businesses who have money deposited with SVB will be able to access all their cash from Monday, the government has said. Now, regulators also closed New York-based Signature Bank after mounting pressure. President Joe Biden will address a dramatic weekend in the financial sector later on Monday. In a statement, he promised to hold those responsible for this mess fully accountable. That SVB, which specialized in lending to technology companies, was shut down by regulators who seized its assets on Friday. It was the largest failure of a U.S. bank since the financial crisis in 2008. A statement from the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation (FDIC) said depositors will be fully protected. The taxpayers will not bear any losses from the move, it said, and people will rejoice in that, and I also rejoice with that as well. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Moving on to some other stories making the rounds. There are heavy reports of heavy losses on both sides on the battle of Bakhmut rages on. The story says Ukraine and Russia have reported inflicting heavy losses as the battle for Bakhmut rages on. Now, Moscow has been trying to take the eastern Ukrainian city for months in a grinding war of attrition. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian forces had suffered more than 1,100 deaths in the past few days, with many more seriously injured. Now, Russia said it had killed more than 220 Ukrainian service members over the past 24 hours. Analysts say Bakhmut has little strategic value, but has become a focal point for Russian commanders who have struggled to deliver any positive news to the Kremlin. Now, capture of the city will bring Russia slightly closer to its goal of controlling the whole of Donetsk region, one of 4 regions in eastern and southern Ukraine annexed by Russia last September following referendums widely condemned outside Russia as a sham. Now, Ukraine commanders who have committed significant resources to defending the city say the strategy aims to tie Russia force down and prevent Moscow from launching any further offensives in the coming months. But we'll see what happens on that front. A sad one, properties being lost, lives being lost, and for what? Okay, now one other story. Let's move on from there. Israeli teachers racist WhatsApp chat caught by Peoples. It's one of the stories making the rounds in Israel. Israel's education minister has apologized to Ethiopian Israeli school girls whose teachers mocked them in a WhatsApp group on a school trip. Now, the girls spotted the teachers messaging each other in a chat group they created called Black School Trip. One of the girls filmed the chat over a teacher's shoulder, then shared it on social media, calling the teachers a disgrace. That the teachers involved were suspended and the incident is being investigated. There are about 150,000 citizens of Ethiopian origin in Israel, the first of whom have arrived in sizable numbers in a series of top secret Mossad-led operations in the 1980s. Now, the Ethiopian Jews' integration in Israel has been challenging, with the community suffering disproportionately high levels of unemployment and poverty, as well as discrimination, although the situation has shown signs of improvement in recent years. Now, last Monday, teachers and pupils from a religious high school in Netivot, southern Israel, set off on a 3-day trip. A girl sitting behind one of the teachers saw her messaging in the group chat, which contained disparaging comments towards the Ethiopian Israeli peoples. One of the peoples took a video of the chat in action without the teacher realizing. The people then shared a message to the perpetrators on social media, attaching pictures of the offensive messages. Now, good morning to all the educators of this school, she wrote. It saddens me as a member of the Ethiopian community to see the level you sank today. Instead of being our teachers and setting an example and making us feel like we're in our safest place, you did the exact opposite. Now, opening a group called Black School Trip without even realizing that there were students behind you and mocking your students. I see the photos and I just don't believe that they come from our teachers. You are a disgrace in the coaches. I'm ashamed that you are teachers and that you're teaching the future generations. Now, the teachers involved were suspended and have apologized. The school headmaster issued a statement speaking of this, of his shock and devastation to miserable and extremely offensive comments from teachers about Ethiopian students who study in the school. The school management looks at these comments severely. There is no place for racist comments and we won't allow them in our school. Well, it's easier said than done, but it's a very, very sad situation there. A very, very sad one. It is Starr Radio UK. Now, let me see whether I can bring you a couple of stories before we bring the first part of the program to a close. Stay with me. Well, Gary Lineker to return to air as BBC announces review of guidelines. Well, try to throw more light on it and make sure that there is that understanding. We'll be bringing that your way. Do you think that the move by the other pundits were right as well? Ian Wright, who as well, all of them support him, say we're not going to be on air if he has been, if he is not going to be allowed on. So some have been concerned, saying that well, they are supporting the wrong move. That whatever he broke protocol when it came to the BBC. But he's saying that well, it wasn't like I was on air and I did anything of the sort. This time around, I was using just my phone off air, just saying whatever I wanted to say. But what I think, well, Starr Radio UK. Well, the story says that Gary Lineker will return to present much of the day after he was taken off air following an impartiality row in which he criticized the government's new asylum policy. The BBC's Director General Tim Davie announced an independent review will be carried out on social media guidelines. Now, Lineker said he backs the review and is looking forward to getting back on air. He said the last few days had been surreal and thanked people for their incredible support. Now, weekend football coverage across the BBC was disrupted due to walkouts triggered by Lineker's suspension. In a statement, Mr. Davies said, "Everyone recognizes this has been a difficult period for staff, contributors, presenters, and most importantly, our audience. I apologize for this." Now, in a tweet last week, Lineker compared the language used to set out the government asylum plan to that used by Germany in the 30s. Now, his words about government's new legal migration bill were criticized by the conservative ministers, including the Home Secretary. Now, Lineker was told on Friday he had to apologize for his tweets or would be unable to present much of the day at the weekend. When he refused to do so, he was taken off air, triggering an unprecedented wave of walkouts from fellow pundits and commentators. Now, after announcing he will return to presenting on BBC TV, Lineker tweeted, "However difficult the last days have been, it simply doesn't compare to having to flee your home from persecution or war to seek refuge in a land far away. It is heartwarming to have seen the empathy towards their plight from so many of you. We remain a country for predominantly tolerant, welcoming, and generous people." Lineker has hosted much of the day since 1999. My goodness, it's been there all this time. Okay, it is Starr Radio UK. I've seen some story here, and it's quite an interesting one. And he said that how the search for Iraq's secret weapons fell apart. And it's got a nice picture of Saddam Hussein, the late Saddam Hussein, Iraqi leader. See how he built Iraq and how he made things. And the peace that was enjoyed by the people then. We were going to say that some people were being marginalized and all that stuff. But that's why I come out to say, if majority of people are enjoying whatever is going on, well, some will criticize him for gassing his own people. Is it those in the north or those in the south? I've forgotten their names, but well, all those things went on. But what do you think about that? It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. A final story. Well, a mother of Caroline Flack does not accept Met Police apology. Now, this one person who said that the police have apologized, but you know what? I don't accept it. The mother of Caroline Flack has said she rejects an apology given by the Metropolitan Police about how her daughter's case was handled. The TV star was facing prosecution for assaulting her boyfriend when she killed herself in February 2020. The Met last month apologized to her mom, Christine Flack, for not recording the reason why she had been charged. Now, Christine said she rejects the apology, while the force said her arrest had been handled appropriately. Now, it is 3 years since the X Factor and Love Island host took her own life. Now, she had been due to appear in court over the alleged assault of her then boyfriend Louis Burton in the weeks before her death in 2020. Well, so what were they expecting the police to do then? Someone was saying that, you know what, if even the person is guilty of whatever she's been charged with, she still needs support so that she will not harm herself. But it doesn't look like something of the sort happened. But well, a sad one there. The final story. Now, HSBC swoops in to rescue UK arm of Silicon Valley Bank is the final story. The HSBC has swooped to buy the UK arm of the collapsed US Silicon Valley Bank, bringing relief to UK tech firms who warned they could go bust without help. Now, customers and businesses who had been unable to withdraw their money will now be able to access it as normal. The government and the Bank of England led the talks and worked through the night to scramble together the deal, which involves no taxpayers' money. So where did they get the money from? Okay, HSBC said it paid just £1 for the SVB's UK arm. Now, Silicon Valley Bank, which specialized in lending to technology companies, was shut down by US regulators on Friday in what was the largest failure of a US bank since 2008. It collapsed. Its its collapse sent shockwaves across the tech industry over the possible impact it could have on businesses, with some firms telling the BBC they could go bust if the process were not secured. Well. Hopefully, we'll not see anything of the sort happening now or pretty soon. But this is why I bring the first part of the program to a close. It is Starr Radio UK. We're going to take a musical break, and then once we come back, I bring you Career 101 with HRH Linda Pallien. Stay tuned and don't you go away. This is A Change Is Gonna Come. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you in a moment.
Been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes, it will.
This is Starr Radio. Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
To die. 'Cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes, it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please.
This is Starr Radio UK.
But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. There've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes it will. Okay, Starr Radio UK. Change is gonna come. Change is gonna come wherever you are. At this juncture, it is my singular honor to bring you HRH Linda Pallien this afternoon. Stay tuned. Environment serves your career. Okay, interesting.
Absolutely. And this again is one of my favorite topics, because it's one of the most underrated factors of success that a lot of people don't take into consideration when you're looking at your next level of your career. So we're going to be talking about this also because I've harped on about this for ages. The how to career steps. It's the fourth step in your career, the acronym career, which is course, authenticity, reasoning, environment, excitement, and remuneration. So your environment is the fourth step
of your career. Okay, wow. So we'll be going into that properly. But listeners, every Monday from 12:45 to 1, we bring you this program that is Career 101, where we have our own HRH Linda Pallien coming your way with Career 101, throwing more light as to whether the job that you find yourself in, you are enjoying it, or you wake up in the morning and the thought of you going back there makes you feel that you are sick, or you just wake up and you think, yeah, let me get on it, or you think, well, I've gotten to this point, but I can still do better. Whatever the situation is, listen to this program and also follow our HRH Linda Pallien. She can be your cheerleader every time, and she will help you on that front. So, how your environment serves your career. Let's move on, lady.
Awesome. So, environment. When we talk about environment in this context, we're talking about 3 key parts of your environment. The first bit is your physical, geographical location.
Okay.
So the physical setup, your location, the workspace that you have, and the way that your desk and your office is set up, or your working environment is set up. So that's the first bit. The second bit, we talk about the people you surround yourself with, and the personalities, and the like-minded or non-like-minded people you surround yourself with. So again, that forms your people environment. And then the third aspect will be the ideologies and the mindset, company culture aspect of environment.
Okay.
Yeah. So as this program is aimed at individuals, I really want to focus on what you can do, because there's aspects of your environment that you might not be able to change as an individual. But let's focus on what you can do. Okay, so when we talk about your geographical aspect, of course, if you're working on Canary Wharf or on Wall Street or in Silicon Valley, for example, being around like-minded people, seeing everybody go to work doing the same thing, having all these networks and socializing with these people is completely going to boost the business image that you have. If this is your own business, it's going to boost your self-worth. You're going to have more of these intelligent conversations and collaborations that way. But also, if you're a business owner by yourself, where you decide to position your business is super important. We have this analogy of the 2 stones. So you can sell the same stone in a flea market.
Yeah.
You can sell it in a dollar store, or you can sell it in Selfridges. And depending on where you physically decide to locate yourself, you command a different price point.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's especially important for business owners to decide which market they want to serve and where the physical location is. If you can afford to be at a high-end place, definitely do that, or take the steps to do that, or create the illusion of that, at least. Okay? So physical environment is really important, and it serves the price, it serves the self-worth and the perceived value for your stakeholders, your clients, the people that can work with you, the people you employ. They see it as a result of where you're physically located. They see value. So again, if you're working for someone, and this is on the other side, if it's not your own business and you're working for someone, naturally, if you work for a reputable company, a big company, that's going to give you leverage in your career.
Yeah.
When you're going for another job. So for example, if I said I've worked for the Big Four, or I've worked for the biggest hedge fund management, that give me a lot more leverage as a financial advisor than if I said, well, I worked for Joe Blogg's accounting.
Joe Blogs will not be happy with you, you know.
That's the same job, but it's completely different. Okay, so that's your physical environment. So you need to leverage it as much as possible.
Okay.
Let's talk about the people aspect of your environment, surrounding yourself with like-minded people and personalities. Again, this is the second aspect of your environment, which can hinder your progress or stifle it. Okay, if you're surrounding yourself with the complainers and the 9-to-5ers and the people that have already given up on life or any prospect of progression, naturally that's going to take its toll on you. You're going to be as a result of the people who you surround yourself with, or the people that surround themselves with you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't help this, right? You might be in a toxic work environment.
Wow.
And this is why you need to get out.
Wow.
Not people alone.
Wow. Okay, let me a question had just come in, and let me pose that one. It's talking about the physical location of your company or your organization, and one of them is asking the question. It says you normally locate your company or organization at a place where you have the raw materials to do that particular to carry out whatever service or products or produce that you come up with. But if you say that now, you have to make sure that you are located in a very nice place, and therefore looking at a scenario where maybe the person is using or farm produce to produce something. Okay, so you use that. Let's take an example of a pineapple, and therefore you use that to produce the juice or whatever thing that you want to produce. So maybe the environment, the location is not the right place per se, and it will not be nice, but whatever they are producing finally is something that people will love. So when they talk about the location, they are asking, how do they place themselves there? What can they do to improve upon that?
I love this question so much, and God bless whoever asked that question. This is amazing. Okay, so there's this thing in marketing called positioning as well. Even if you're not physically located, you can position yourself properly. So when we talk about a good example, we've spoken about pineapple, but let's use the example like shea butter.
Yeah.
Okay, shea butter is produced normally in Africa. As I know, Nigeria. Gold is another example. Okay, but shea butter is also sold in the Body Shop in the UK, Joe Malone, and all these products, these high-end products that make use of shea butter.
Yeah.
So they might be marketing, yes, it's produced from Ghana, but the packaging and the positioning, the geographical location of where they're selling it is completely different from the place of origin. Okay?
Yes, I can hear you, yeah.
So I know that I can go to a marketplace and get raw shea butter, and I know that because I do that. I've been to Brixton and bought raw shea butter. And it's also the same product that I will find as the key ingredient in my Chanel moisturizer.
Yeah.
But why did I pay maybe 50, 70, 90 pounds for a little pot of moisturizer when I could buy the whole damn barrel?
In Brixton Market somewhere.
So you leverage positioning.
Yeah.
If not physical location, but marketing positioning to do that. So if you're starting your business, and of course, for example, and I mean, this has been disproved, so I hesitate using this example, but we all have seen this image of Amazon in the garage.
Yeah.
Where Jeff Bezos has a banner where he's physically written Amazon.com on there, working in his garage, versus Amazon that it is now. And I mean, you may have seen Amazon warehouses. Their positioning online is completely different to where they're physically located.
Yeah.
For example, you wouldn't see Amazon headquarters in London. You'll probably find them on the outskirts of a cheaper place but
yeah.
Everywhere.
Leverage
the geographical and locational difference to your advantage.
Okay. That's good. All right. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it is Career 101 coming your way every week, every Monday from 12:45 onwards. And I have with me my own HRH, Linda Pallien. She can be your cheerleader if you want her to. So continue to listen to the program. At the tail end of the program, we put in the contact details across for you to know how to get in touch and how to enjoy everything that she's got for you. Yes, Linda, over to you.
Okay, so the third aspect of your environment is your internal environment. Okay, your mindset, the ideologies you allow yourself to embody. Okay, so I always say stand guard at the door of your mind. I think that's a quote from Jim Varone or someone else that I like. I can't remember. But it's really important to embody the habits and the systems that will give you that mindset. Because sometimes the people that are bringing you down, or the people that in your environment may not necessarily be supportive. So you might have a spouse, or your immediate working environment isn't supportive, or you may have grown up in an environment where crime is the norm, or doing one sort of thing is the norm. Now we can leverage the internet, we can leverage books, we can leverage YouTube influencers to choose our own role models and have those same desired traits that we need as to the goals that we want to achieve. So having the right mindset is important in optimizing your environment. Okay, and when it comes to companies, it's the same thing. You might find a company that says, "Oh well, our culture," and a company culture is the personality of the company. That's the environment that uses. There's some companies say one thing, and it's not necessarily the same thing. The same.
Yeah.
And a lot of employees will say this. They say that customer service is up front, but yet allowed to refund the customer even if we know we're in the wrong.
Yeah. I think the other time, myself and Frank, we were having an encounter with one supplier. I wouldn't want to mention their name, and then one of the guys who came was saying like, "Well, you know, our company, when it comes to their customer service, forget it. I mean, we have all those things. They're a big, massive company, so we are rubbish when it comes to that." And I said, "Really?" But well, and at the sometimes you can't do otherwise. They are the ones who can supply you with whatever you want. Therefore, we have to just keep on keeping on with them.
Right, but you can imagine how conflicted anybody would be if you're saying the company culture is customer service.
Yeah.
Yet really stifling that customer relationship. And as you said, you don't have a choice. But should you have a choice?
Oh, definitely. We would have changed it. Yeah.
So, employers and business owners, and when I talk about business owners, employers don't, entrepreneurs don't think it's about them, but it's about you too. Even if you're just one person in your business, it's saying my value, my company values is authenticity, and you're putting out things that aren't authentic, and then you're found to be fake. You've just ruined your whole business, ruined the whole brand with not being congruent to that environment that you're creating. So when we come to company culture, you have to make sure that you as the company embody those values, and you're allowing your employees to embody those same values, so that your customers and your stakeholders have the same consistent experience throughout, whether they're dealing with you as a leader or whether they're dealing with you as or a representative of your company. The values are going to really constitute the environment that you spend your time in, who you're listening to, who you're talking to, what books you're reading, even the kind of music you're listening to and watching. That's your internal environment.
Okay. I was going to ask you that question. How can you enhance your ideology or your internal environment? But it looks like you've touched on it briefly there. But if somebody is listening to us and thinks, okay, well, maybe our ideology as a company is not something that we are living up to. Now, what would you tell them to do?
Jerome says, move, you're not a tree.
Okay, and when to, this one you have to fly. Okay.
Your environment serve you. First of course, try and do something about it. So and a lot of these things might be just having a conversation, because most people aren't aware that they're conflicting, they're sending conflicting messages.
Okay.
They might focus on the bottom line, therefore they put in policies that directly conflict the company values.
Yeah.
So who is in the company and can see it from your perspective to say, actually what we're doing doesn't serve this company values. Can we change it or revise this and create a win-win situation? But you as an individual as well, your mindset and your ideologies, who you're deciding to listen to, that would really influence your perception of things. So sometimes people come to me and they say, I want to get into this particular field, and I've heard that it's super difficult to get into this field. Now that's the mindset they embody. They don't even know that that's the mindset they embody, because to them they believe it as truth.
Yeah.
So, and I find this in most fields, funny enough, in the music industry, in the accounting industry, in the law profession.
Yeah.
And on who you listen to or where those influences have come from, you think it's super difficult to get into that field. Therefore, everything works to prove you right. Whereas I know other people that will come in and say, oh, it's super easy, I can get it. The reason, a great example is TED Talks. And for the influencers that are listening amongst us, a lot of people want to do TED Talks and speeches and be on big stages. Right? Now I know someone who is relatively new in their field. They teach relatively basic stuff as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so this is my interpretation of what they do.
Yeah.
This woman is so bold and so fearless in trying to get her message across that she's ended up on the biggest stages talking about the basic things.
Wow. Wow.
She don't know too much about. But because she believes that it's easy to get into these fields, it's easy to get paid to do a speaking engagement, it's easy to go into a company and teach them about this stuff.
Okay.
To do that, because that's her mindset and the ideology that she has. Interesting.
I know that time is fast spent, but a thought just came to mind, that having orientation courses for employees can also help that way. Or because at times, if the vision or the ideology is not actually clear, then those who are supposed to see to the implementation will not do a good job, and it end up you saying one thing and you doing something else. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, you have to be able to communicate these values to your employees, and especially these people that are going to implement it. Okay, so if you're having a one-to-one and you're saying, and I know that this happens, especially in the big banks, because I have a lot of clients, the big banks in the UK, that struggle with this. Okay. So their KPIs will be sell more of these financial products. So they have this at the back of their mind, they need to sell more of these financial products. However, you're supposed to do right by the customer as well. But you know that if you don't sell more of these financial products, so then they sit in this conflicting role. So you need to be able to communicate, and for every key performance indicator or target, that's what for every target you set, you need to be able to relate that back to the values that you want the employees to embody. And as you're saying with the orientation, that stops this conflict, because if they can see why they're doing this and how it relates to the values, they're more likely to be behind it.
Okay. Wow, listeners, these are just tidbits of what HRH Linda Pallien can deliver to you. You want to know more, you're going to be listening to her. She's going to be giving you her contact details and how you can get in touch with her, and then she will help you on that front. So Linda, over to you.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening today. If you want to know more about environment, and how you can get to the next level of your career, you can contact me at mycheerlinda on all social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. My new book is coming out in September, and it talks about all of these aspects. I highly recommend it. Even though I do say so myself, it's a self-empowerment tool for you to be able to take it fairly low cost and be able to revolutionize your career and lead your career. And I think that's the most powerful tool that I can contribute to the world in my profession.
Wow.
So I highly recommend it. At mycheerlinda, mycheerlinda.com, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, get in touch, and we'll be able to work on your career together.
Thank you very much, my HRH. Yes, she can be your HRH and your cheerleader as well. So make sure you get in touch with her on all the contact details that she's put across. Linda, let me say thank you once again for coming in, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Have a beautiful day.
All right. You're welcome. Bye. Okay then. Bye bye. Yes. Well, so this is where we bring. That has been HRH Linda Pallien for today. And this is where we bring the program to a close for today. 5 minutes to the top of the hour at a time, but I'll be ending the show with a song that I brought your way before I brought Linda on, and this is Change Is Gonna Come by Mika Paris. Enjoy that song, and I believe that somehow, if you believe in the cause, you stand for it. You might end up losing your life for it or losing everything for it, but you believe in that cause. What about that? By going on, I tell you, one day you get to your destination. So change is gonna come. It might look like it's far off, but somewhere, somehow, it does happen, doesn't it? Enjoy this. And when it ends and you didn't hear from me, it's been me, Archie, HRH Linda Pallien, Mr. Olayomi Koike, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. We say have a top of the day. Bye bye for now.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Oh yes it will.
Thanks for listening.
I'm moving and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes it will. Then I go to my brother.